Welcome back to Brawlmaster Unscripted. This is the segment where I answer an assortment of questions, be they thoughtful or stupid. Before I get started, I feel an apology is somewhat in order since I have not done an installment for Brawlmaster Unscripted since September of last year. I was planning on one back then, but it's just I kept pushing it back because I was getting more and more ideas for videos, and I really wanted to get those done. I wanted to really get that Console Wars list video done, and then I wanted to do the analysis on Pokemon Origins, and I just got all these ideas for videos, and then by the time I got around to working on this Unscripted, it was already the end of the year. So yeah, I'm sorry this is a little bit later than I said it was going to be out, but I'm getting it done now. It's just I have a lot more questions than I was originally thinking I was going to get, so it's going to take me a while to get through these, but you guys are always welcome to send more questions. Just it's going to take longer for me to get to some of them, but one other thing before we get started is I have to reword some of these questions simply because I received them a long time ago, and looking at them now, they're a little bit outdated. Like, one of them is asking for my initial thoughts on something, and now that something came out, so we know what it is, so I can't really give my initial thoughts on it anymore. I have to give just my overall thoughts looking back on it now. So in that regard, I have to reword some of the questions, but I hope that's not really that big of a deal to you guys. I'm just trying to keep everything relevant. I'm just trying to make everything work here. So yeah, without further delay, let's go ahead and get these questions started because I have a lot to get through, and I probably won't get through very many in this part. Okay, the first question is from Explosion772. What is your current stance on the video game market? I'm not entirely sure what you mean in this question. I think it's just a little bit vague, but I'm going to do my very best to try and answer it. I hope this is what you're hoping to hear. Otherwise, just leave me a comment and I'll answer it in some other way that is more hoping what you want. So, but I think, like, in terms of how video games are marketed, I think $60 is paying way too much for video games these days, especially now when we've got these games that are coming out incomplete, just because these developers are wanting to cut off parts of the game and make them DLC, and then there's the whole thing with microtransactions, and it's just last generation was such a mess with all this stuff, and it was really alienating the gamers and everything, just because we never asked for this. I mean, yeah, we like the post-game content, but we don't like it when the content is being axed from the game and then sold for an additional fee. We don't like having to pay these additional fees because $60 is already paying a lot for a game. And I think for the value of $60, we should be getting complete games. And we used to be getting complete games even back when games were less than $60, back when they were like $50 and even less than that. And when did that ever go out of style? Why did we suddenly decide that, oh, it's okay, we can get away with not finishing the games, but we can get them out and still make the same retail price, and then we'll give them the content they want, but we'll just charge them extra for that. I mean, I don't agree with that. I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. And I know this is not a new issue. A lot of people have complained about this. I'm just letting you know that I'm on the same page as this. I don't agree with DLC. I don't agree with the microtransactions and everything. But that's not to say that I'm totally against DLC. I think if the DLC is post-game content, like if the game is finished and then the DLC they release is just some additional content, like, oh, it's an extra side quest, or, oh, it's a few more costumes or something, then I'm okay with that because you don't really need that to have the full game. But if you're having to pay extra to complete your game, I don't really agree with that. So, yeah. I think the video game market has a lot of problems it's dealing with right now. And the sales are kind of suffering as a result, but yeah. I hope that answered your question. Okay, here's the next question from Last Kusagari 704. Have you ever played Demon Souls or Dark Souls? If so, what are your thoughts? Can't say I've played either of those games. I have heard of them. I've just never had much interest in playing them. I have not played them, and my apologies, but I really can't comment on either of those games just because I have no experience with them. I know that was a really lackluster answer to your question, and so to make up for it, I'll try and see if I can answer one of your other questions instead. So let's see. Another question you have is, which do you like the most? Grape jelly, bacon, or butter? Probably butter. I mean, I do like grape jelly, and I do like bacon as well, but I guess I have a bias towards butter just because I like putting it on toast and on dinner rolls, and I just think that's more satisfying of a taste to me. Such a silly question, but I enjoy these little simplistic questions, you know. I answer a lot of serious questions, and it's nice to get a little silly question like this every once in a while. So, thank you for sending this in. I do like all three, but I guess I have to pick better. But, yeah, thanks again for sending that, and I really like these kinds of questions. Okay, next one is from Super Trey Gamer. If you remember back to the first Unscripted, this person asked me the question about Bowser, Ganondorf, zombies, and Slenderman the Evil Toothpick. And the other question this person sent in is he or she wants me to write a poem about that question. Well, thing is, I'm not really much of a poet, but I guess I'll give it a try. Took me a little while to come up with this, but this is what I got. Two are evil, one is fat, one eats flesh, while the other is not to be sneezed at. To be locked in a room with any, I would be quite scared. This poem is so awful, it must never be shared. How was that? I hope you enjoyed that just because I think it was terrible. And I'm so sorry for having to put you through that because that was just awful. So, yeah. Moving on. This next question is from SBox180. I personally despise it when video game companies are asked about a highly demanded product and their responses are beat around the bush type answers. Nintendo, Square Enix, and Capcom have a really bad tendency of doing this, and I have been waiting for a new Crash Bandicoot game for 5 years now. What is your opinion on this kind of response from game companies? This is a good question. I think they do it for a good reason. You have to keep in mind that these guys are businesses. They're all about marketing and how to make sure their games sell well. So, in order to maintain a certain level of hype and interest in the game, they hold back certain details and they give this sort of sense of mystery in order to keep people interested in the game. Because if they just give out everything at once, then people aren't really going to buy the games because they know everything about it. So, in that regard, I can understand why they do it. They do it to make sure people are still interested in the games, and so that there's always so that the game is new to them, so that there's something for them to discover. Because otherwise, if they know everything, what's the point in getting the game? But at the same time, I do understand your frustration. I do agree that I think they could afford to give out a few more details about their games. Nintendo especially. I think the thing that bothers me the most about them is that they don't give out release dates. They are so bad about actually letting us know when the game is coming out, and that really frustrates me. Like, oh, Super Smash Bros. Is coming out in 2014. Well, when is that? That's a whole year. I would like it if they gave us a more general time frame than just that. But yeah, it's just it's frustrating. I understand how you feel. I feel the same way, but at the same time, I think they do have good reason for doing this. Okay, this next question is from Pony and Stuff 320. Have you read any of the MLP IDW comics? If so, what are your thoughts? I think it's slightly better and more expanded than the show's universe and the continuity. I'm not much of a comic book reader, to be honest. I never really got interested in comics. I have heard of these ones in particular, and I have heard very good things about them, but I've just never actually read any of the IDW comics, to be honest. It's for a number of reasons. For starters, there aren't very many places left in my town that actually sell comic books, so it would be pretty hard for me to actually find one of these comic books. Probably not impossible. I probably could find one somewhere, I'm just not looking very hard enough. And back when I was more interested in the show, back when I was really, really into it and I was really following the show, I never really got interested in any of its merchandise or anything like the comic books or anything like that. I pretty much just watched the show and followed the fan-made content on the internet, but I never really went anything more than beyond that. And even now, when my interest in the show has been kind of dwindling over the past few months, I'm just not crazy about the show anymore. So I don't really have much of an interest in the IDW comics. So yeah, to answer your question, I have heard of them. I've heard very good things about them, but I just don't have much interest in reading any of them. Okay, this next question is from Jack and Daxter 19988. If you were in charge of YouTube for one day and could make permanent changes to the site even after that one day, what would you do/change? Oh, this is an easy one. I'd strip these greedy corporations of their power and put a stop to all this outrageous copyright crap. I'm so sick of constantly working so hard on these videos and then having to take them down just because of one little 30-second little or even a few second clip that one copyright holder is just like, oh no, I own that, you can't put that in there. It's frustrating. I mean, To be fair, I understand that they take down the lyric videos and the people who are uploading the full television shows. I get that, because that's just blatantly infringing copyright. But YouTube is starting to give these corporations way too much freedom to just take down whatever they want, and it's getting out of control. I mean, you can't make A&Bs anymore because the songs are always getting removed. It's getting harder and harder to do Let's Plays and game-related videos because the rules and guidelines for what can and cannot be uploaded are seriously outdated, and they just make no sense anymore. And on a personal level, I lost my MLP analysis when it was using clips for fair use. I was using clips for commentary, for education, for criticism, whatever you want to say it was for, and yet Shout Factory still got the final authority and gave me a strike anyway and got to take down my video. And it's because YouTube gives them the final say. There is no dispute process. It's an illusion. You can dispute it, and sometimes they'll give it back to you, but most of the time they'll just say, oh, you want to dispute that? Nope, sorry, I own this content, you can't post it. And it's absolute bullshit. I'm so sick of it. So that's what I would change about YouTube. I'd say, you know what? I understand you guys want to take down the music videos and stuff that's just blatantly infringing your copyright. I get that. But you can't just walk all over these people who are uploading content. I mean, this is YouTube. Broadcast yourself. We should be able to post whatever we want. We used to be able to do that before Google bought YouTube and all this crap started happening. I remember back before all this copyright crap used to happen. And you could post literally whatever you wanted. If you wanted to post something from a TV show, you could. And you didn't have to worry about that. But now you can't do that anymore. You pretty much just... It's like YouTube is trying to single out the content that's posted on YouTube to people who are just on their webcams doing something silly with their cats or their pets or something. It's like that YouTube is trying to force the demographic to be nothing but that, and to be forcing the content that's uploaded to be nothing but that. And it's ridiculous. That's not what YouTube should be about. And that's what I would change. I'd want to make YouTube more about posting whatever you want, because I think we should be able to post whatever we want. And the copyright laws that are written and established, they need to be updated because they don't really reflect about content being used on the internet. There's nothing that really specifically indicates what cannot be used on there. It's more of like a gray area. So I really think that needs to be updated, because it's frustrating for me. It's frustrating for a lot of people on here that this is a site we love to post on, but we can't post what we want anymore. Just we're being censored in a certain degree, and I just that frustrates me. I wish if I was in charge of YouTube, I'd take that away, but of course I'm not, so that's not gonna happen. Yeah, I'm gonna have to end this segment right here just because I'm getting a little short on time. Remember, I can't upload longer than 15 minutes at the moment. So I have plenty more questions. I'm going to be working on the next Unscripted very soon, so look forward to that. And I'll see you guys next time. This has been Brawlmaster 012 signing off.